Turn on the hall light or
Okay,
something.
show the audience here. We have 5 people here, plus the person operating the camera. And here's my cards that I have some notes on. Okay. Thank you all for coming on kind of short notice. Appreciate that. Today, we're going to talk about crime prevention. How many of you have the idea that it's the police's responsibility to prevent crime in our community? Well, I hate to say it, but you'd be wrong. Over the next several minutes, I'm going to talk about what responsibilities the police have and why they don't have time. They don't have the resources to prevent crime from happening in our community. I'm going to talk a little bit about how crime happens and how easily it can and why crime happens in our community. And then we're going to go over what's called the crime triangle and the 3 elements of crime and try to show you that crime prevention is our responsibility. So hopefully we can change that belief and actually reduce crime in our communities and our neighborhoods. So first, my first point. The police have a lot of responsibility. First and foremost, they have the responsibility of protecting people or assisting people when their safety is in jeopardy, such as responding to fights, domestic violence calls, obviously homicides, and any suicide or suicide attempt calls. Second, their biggest responsibility is helping people with their property. So they respond to burglary calls, they respond to thefts, such things as property crimes. They also respond to citizens assist, helping citizens with, say, civil problems or moving stuff out of their house when they're having problems with the ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, something to that effect. They enforce motor vehicle laws, assist in traffic accidents. They also help assist other agencies such as EMTs and whatnot on a medical call. They act as first responders for those, and helping the fire department, as you guys saw yesterday, with traffic control and whatnot there. So the police have a lot of responsibility, and while when police are in an area, yes, it does prevent people from wanting to commit crimes, it doesn't always work out that way. And once they're done with that, they leave and they go to another call, and then the community, that area is open for crime to happen again. The second point I want to talk to you about is what's called the broken windows theory. In 1969, Philip Zimbardo did a study where he placed 2 vehicles, one in the Bronx in New York and one in Palo Alto, California. With these vehicles, the hood was left up, license plates were removed from the vehicle, so they appeared to be abandoned. In the Bronx, it was almost immediate. Within 10 minutes or so, somebody had come up to the vehicle. It was actually a family passing by, and the male subject in this family started to remove the radiator. Within 24 hours, everything of value was stripped from the vehicle. Kids were using it as a playground, and it was pretty much a worthless hulk. In Palo Alto, California, it actually sat there for about a week and nobody touched it. Zimbardo took a sledgehammer to it, and while he was taking a sledgehammer to this, other people stopped and joined in and started to vandalize the vehicle. Within a short period of time, we're talking half hour, 45 minutes, the vehicle was actually flipped over, everything was utterly destroyed on the vehicle, and it was a worthless piece of junk after that. The point of showing that, me telling you that is, when we don't care for our community, when we don't care for our neighborhoods and our property, it gives the idea that it's okay to commit crime there. And once crime starts happening in an area, it spreads all throughout the neighborhood. Now, once that catches on, it can be removed, but it takes a concerted effort from the police, from the community, from the citizens of that area, and it takes a long time to remove that criminal element from the area. So, as I've shown up to this point, the police don't have time the police don't have time to stop crime from happening in an area. And crime can happen rather quickly in an area, and once it starts happening in an area, it can spread really quickly. So my third point is the crime triangle. There's three elements to the crime triangle. For a crime to happen, there has to be a desire for a crime to happen. Typically our laws are what society uses to remove that desire. However, for some people, the reward of the crime outweighs what the punishment would be. Typically we use loss of liberty, putting somebody in jail, fines, loss of property, and in some cases loss of life to prevent or to remove that desire. However, again, not everybody. That doesn't work for everybody. The second element to the crime triangle is the ability to commit a crime. Again, typically with our society, to remove that ability, we put people in jails and prisons. That may remove the ability temporarily, but it doesn't prevent crime from happening in the first place, and it doesn't prevent crime from happening after they're released from jail or prison. So the third element, and this is the most important one, this is where we as citizens and the community can prevent crime from happening in our neighborhoods and on our property and to us. That's removing the opportunity to prevent crime. We need to look at ourselves, our property, our community, our neighborhoods, and see what opportunity there is for crime to happen. If we leave things unattended in our yards overnight, that provides opportunity. By removing those opportunities, we can prevent theft from happening. Being in areas such as parks at night, we hear all the time on the news and whatnot of people getting assaulted in parks and along dark alleyways and whatnot. Removing those opportunities, by us removing those opportunities, we can take a proactive approach in preventing crime. So as I've talked about, we've talked about why police don't have the time to prevent crime from happening. We talked about how crime happens and how quickly it can happen in an area, and how a neighborhood can become infested with it. And I've talked about the crime triangle, and most importantly, what we can do, what element we can remove from the crime triangle as citizens to prevent crime from happening. Thank you all for coming, and next week we'll expand on that a little bit more. Thank you.